Hey guys, Matt Bartram here from Warrior Fitness and Health, and I coach busy people to create fitter and healthier lifestyles for my PT, my boot camps and my nutritional consultations. Welcome to today's free live training. Right, you've been waiting for this one. It is part 2 of the 3-part series on how to create your own nutrition plan. Now, if you watched part number 1, I'm really hoping you've done your homework, because without number 1, you can't seamlessly really go on to part number 2. And if you've missed part number 1, go ahead back through my Facebook timeline or my YouTube channel and find it. Or if you're really struggling to find it, reach out to me, send me the message, and I'll send you the link and that sort of stuff. But in part 1, in short, we covered the difference between calories and nutrition. We discussed some of the major food groups, and we discussed the whole epithet of what creating your own nutrition plan is, and that is being crystal clear on your goal. And I spoke about the 3 main goals being to either maintain weight, lose weight, or gain weight. And you should really know that before you go on to part 2. So let's get stuck in. Part number 2 is about knowing and deciding your eating style. Now, this is actually critical. This is absolutely critical. So knowing and deciding your eating style is critical, because it is not what you think works that gives results. It is what you believe you can stick to. Because adherence to a nutrition plan is 80% of the success. Again, in creating your nutrition plan and deciding your eating style, you must decide on the kind of eating style that you believe you can stick to regularly, 80% plus of the time, and adhere to, rather than what you believe actually works. Now, let me give you a crystal clear example of this one. Let's say, for example, you believe that diet clubs, slimming clubs, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, and all the other ones are like that, if you believe that those get the biggest results worldwide, but you can't attend regular meetings, you're not prepared to pay for the membership and the subscription, you don't want to follow their meal plan because they're too restrictive, it is not going to work for you. Again, if you believe intermittent fasting gets the best results ever, and if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, you just basically skip a meal, you either skip breakfast or skip tea, so you're eating less hours in the day and this, that, and the other. If you are the kind of person that enjoys gentle grazing through the day, intermittent fasting is not going to work for you. So again, part number 2 is about creating and designing your eating style, brackets, based on what you feel you can stick to, not what you believe works. And that is exactly why I do not sell meal plans, I do not sell diet plans, I do nutrition consultations where I find out holistically about the client, and I get them eating correctly around their wants, beliefs and adherence and lifestyle, rather than telling them what I believe that they should do. So in part of deciding your eating style, some common examples for you. So there's a diet clubs where you go and have a weigh-in, you pay your membership, they've got diets and they've got support groups, you have a weekly weigh-in and you get certificates for every step of the way. So if you believe you could stick to that and that's really cool for you, then go and do that. The Mediterranean diet is another real common one that has massive success, where you're going to have some lean protein most meals, you're going to have some salad and vegetables, you're going to have some nice omega-3 and omega-6 and 9 oils over it. And it's going to be quite a light Mediterranean style diet that's really focusing on nutrition. Intermittent fasting is another great one, where maybe you're not eating for between 12 and 16 hours of the day, just drinking water, black coffee and herbal teas. And then you have like an 8 or a 10 eating window where you sort of do 2 or 3 meals within that window. So your body is fasting and using the stored body fat, and then it's being refed during the 8 hours. The next common diet is the macro diet, or what used to be called the zone diet, where you're aiming to have so much protein, carbohydrates, fats and fibre and water per day, and you're into weighing your food and tracking your food, and you're trying to match every single day with a similar amount of protein, carbs, fats and fibre and other nutrients. And that's how you're going to monitor your sort of your daily caloric and nutritional needs. The next common one is calorie control. So you'd go onto an online calculator and you'd put in your height, your ideal weight, your age and all that, and it comes up with whatever. You need 1,800 calories a day for a 1 pound of body fat loss per week and that sort of stuff. And then you're going to track your food and you're going to do it by calories rather than perhaps nutritions and free will and that sort of stuff. Another common ones, there's the various sort of pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, and what I'm ultimately trying to get you to think about is you've got to pick an eating style that you actually believe, I can stick to this. I can stick to this around family, work, kids, commitments, shifts, and I can make this the best possible version because I know sticking to it is easy. I've just got a creative with what I eat. So create and decide your eating style because in part one you would already know your goal. Maintain weight, lose weight, gain weight, or sport specific, or switch from calories to nutrition or something like that. Then decide the eating style that suits you. If you want a personal example from me, now this works for me, so I'm just sharing what I do. I'm not saying that you should do this. I tend to do intermittent fasting Monday to Friday. So I don't tend to eat in the morning. I have my first meal maybe 10:30, 11, and then I'm going to get 3 or 4 meals in me between kind of 10:30 and maybe about 6:30. And that suits me Monday to Friday. Over weekend, I don't really want to do that. I want a bit more of a flexible 80-20 approach. So every weekend, as long as I hit my macronutrient numbers, I spread that food wherever I want it. If I wake up and I want breakfast, then that's what I'm doing. If I want a couple of snacks, then that's what I'm doing. So I've got a couple of eating styles on the go that match the different sections of my week. So that's part one of the part two kind of equation. Decide your eating style that you believe you can stick to, because again, adherence is absolutely critical. Part two, or part B of the part two equation, once you've got your eating style, you now need to write down maybe 10 to 20 foods that fit in with your eating style. And they've got to support your goals. So you can't be putting pizza and Domino's and Five Guys and Doritos down if your goal is weight loss and that sort of stuff. But you've got to look at your eating style, and then you've got to come up with 10 to 20 foods that you know you absolutely love the taste of, they're reasonably healthy, and you know you can stick to them because you love the taste. There is absolutely no point eating 4 meals of chicken and broccoli if you absolutely hate broccoli. There's absolutely no point in that because you're not going to adhere to it. You're not going to get results. So I want you to come up with 10 to 20 foods that fulfill your goal, fit in with your eating style, that you love the taste of. Then what I want you to do, I want you to get your 10 to 20 foods and figure out 3 ways of cooking each one of them. That's right. So if you've put chicken down, I want you to, roast chicken, boiled chicken, stir fry, what stuffed chicken, whatever. I want you to come up with 10 to 20 foods that fit your eating style and your goals. And I want you to come up with 3 ways of cooking them. Because if you've got 10 to 20 foods and 3 ways of cooking each, you've got unlimited, endless possibilities to make your food interesting. Does that make sense? Okay, so the summary for part 2 is adherence is key. Part 1, you definitely need to know your goal of your nutrition plan. Part 2, decide your eating style that you know you can stick to most of the time, 80% plus of the time, that works for you. So for example here, you could have 10 people wanting to lose weight. You could have 10 different eating styles here, and they will all work as long as a client adheres to their style. Once you've got your style, 10 to 20 foods, they're going to make up the bulk of your shopping list, and I want to find 3 ways of cooking those foods. So by the time we get to part 3, you should have your goal at the top of the paper. your eating style, 10 foods, 3 ways of cooking all them. Then we can go on to part 3, which then starts putting the magic all together. There's the end of this free live training. If you've enjoyed it, I want you to put a tick, an arm muscle or something in the comments. If you've understood it, type the word understood. If you've watched it live, type the word live. If you've watched it on replay, type the word replay. Type in any successes you've had, type in any problems you've had. More importantly, this is all free content and there's a chance that people might miss this. So if you see this and you've had a conversation with a family member or friend and you think they need to see this, press share, tag them in and send it on its way. So that's part 2 of the 3-part series. Part 3 will be here next week. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can watch it in any order. But if you're watching it on Facebook, it's week 1, week 2, week 3, and I'll probably do a summary of week 4. I love you all loads. Have a very successful week of nutrition. Do your homework. Love you loads.